Hello, I'm Mike Zyda, and today I'm giving my next YouTube channel presentation entitled Game Technology Takes Over the Film Industry. Let me share my screen, get these slides up here, share the sound, place video clips. We're good. All right, here we are, and let's put it on play. All right. Game technology takes over the film industry. The film industry is being changed dramatically by game and computing technology. Soon there will be the position of chief scientist at all the major film studios. And this talk discusses the scope of technology with which the chief scientist must portend. And this is the mind map that I drew out, which shows you the chief scientist's scope when he is at the film, or he or she is at the film studio. And I'm going to be talking over these pieces and parts with you. The film industry chief scientist steps out on the set. The film industry is moving rapidly to replace many of its production ways with new technologies that require new hires with the same skills as utilized by the much larger game industry. Universities that have robust computer science programs that focus on game development will rocket into the stratosphere as the demand for talent from the film industry reaches their distant shores. And one of the crucial roles the film industry will require is that of a chief scientist, a computer scientist with a PhD whose interests are broad, stretching across the entire computing field with agility. And such hires are rare, as most PhDs in computer science are narrowly focused on research areas that make relatively small, non-broad contributions to their selected field. And this is the way our PhD programs have operated. And this continues when those PhDs graduate and become assistant professors at universities. Most such assistant professors are told to continue the focus of their dissertation topic until 9 years later when they become full professor and are then allowed to remove the blinders from their eyes to much broader research and development. Hence the demand for broad PhDs in computer science that also know the entertainment industry. To fill chief scientist roles by the film industry will be hard due to supply shortages and burgeoning demand. All right. I got to find this out firsthand over the last 2 months as I was asked to interview for the position of chief scientist for one of the largest tech-based studios in the city of Los Angeles. And I did the first 4 interviews before the executive recruiter told me they now know how to draft the position description from talking to me, which is, I felt like saying, oh, can I send you my invoice? For my own thinking purposes, I had put together a mind map of what I thought the chief scientist role ought to be, and I sent it to the interviewers as I met them. All of the interviewers were positive. One even asked if I could start next week. So I thought I would take the mind map that I drew for this position that was turned into the advertised position description by the second interviewer and talk about it here in this month's column. By the way, I need to tell you that the chief scientist looks out 3 to 5 years ahead and tries to steer the studio towards working technological solutions to film industry problems. This is different than that of a CTO, Chief Technology Officer. A CTO usually looks at technologies that have to be in place in the next 90 days, the things that are on fire range. We're just going to talk about chief scientists and technologies that need solution over the next 3 to 5 years. So we start out with story and concept, and you can say I blew up that part of the mind map. There are 5 upper level parts to the chief scientist mind map, and the first one, story and concept, is the one I focused on initially. And for purpose of this mind map, story means the document or screenplay that tells you what the film will be about and who says what. And concept means what will the scene look like when the film is shot, kind of like concept art. So let's start with ChatGPT, a large language model-based chatbot developed by OpenAI. And ChatGPT can be used by pretty much anyone willing to download the software and play around with it. One does not have to have a PhD in computer science to use ChatGPT. I've spoken to several screenwriters that are using it for quick first drafts of the next scene they need to write. The user has to provide ChatGPT text that roughly describes what the user wants ChatGPT to generate, and the user can add more detail and run it again when it's not quite right. In a previous column for IEEE Computer, I handed ChatGPT 2 pages of a screenplay, a few extra answers to queries ChatGPT needed before it then produced a couple of pages of new screenplay, which I thought was exciting. So screenplay draft support, you can see one of the bubbles underneath story and concept is ChatGPT screenplay draft support. Now, screenwriters are already using ChatGPT to quickly knock out their next scene, but all of those writers will tell you is that as writers, they then have to go through the ChatGPT written scene and fix it. The text requiring repair after ChatGPT has been quoted to me as 20% to 30%, the human writer having given ChatGPT sufficient upper level spec and instructions so that ChatGPT kind of knew what to create, but maybe not 20% or 30% of the time. This is not putting someone out of work, but rather helping the writer with a tool that increases their efficiency. This is not full automation, but rather like the transition from slide rules to calculators in the classroom in 1974. So we have ChatGPT now, and perhaps the support part of this is to retrain writers to become facile with ChatGPT. Rapid script update on set capability. Underneath that support bubble, we see rapid script update on set capability. And when we are shooting films, there is a large crew deployed. And sometimes as scenes are acted, we discover that the dialogue and the continuity are not right. Continuity is the flow from one scene to the next, and we need that to flow story-wise and not be abrupt. So we also see ChatGPT enhancements that allow us to fix continuity and script problems on set without having to send the entire crew out for a long period. Another bubble is Story Bible ChatGPT support. Now, the Story Bible for a long-running show or film sequel is the document that defines the personalities and behaviors of the major characters in the show. It also records any backstory previously provided or used. So ChatGPT support at the Story Bible level is to examine how the writer has used characters it knows about and perhaps suggest character history or behavioral traits that might make the connection between what has gone before more clear. Some long-running shows, Star Trek, for example, have long and detailed story Bibles that are best referenced automatically rather than memorized by new writers on the show. Avatar capture and reuse. Under story concept, we have actor avatar capture and reuse and computer vision on mobile. This is available now with Epic Games' Unreal Engine's tool named MetaHuman. MetaHuman allows an actor to act out the part with visual capture of their facial gestures via a smartphone and the face of the actor replaced in real time with the fully made up avatar that mimics the facial movements of the live actor. Let's play this piece of video.
Sign, perf, cut, take 13.
I see through your darkness now. I see through your lies. I will show them how to see as I do. I will not appease your gods. I will destroy them.
Cut. Yeah, was the one.
Good? You like it?
So we don't have to do makeup on a live person. And the character filmed is exactly like our artist's concept. This also gives us the ability to use the avatar skin of an actor no longer available for the essential backstory scenes in long-running series. Another aspect of production in film entertainment is concept art. Long done by in-house artists and illustrators that are now generative AI art programs such as Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and DALL-E that are being considered instead. Midjourney takes prompts similar to ChatGPT and creates images from the natural language descriptions. And this does not replace concept artists, but rather provides a tool that, once mastered, increases the speed at which an artist can be productive. Right now, the interface to Midjourney is poorly thought out and embedded inside of the worst social media tool ever invented, Discord. So the work over time is to replace that interface with one that makes sense for concept artists. Additional work is to extend such generative AI concept art creation into 3D, such that we can rapidly create 3D backdrops, sets, and avatars for deployment during film shoot. Crypto-based smart contracts are something one naturally thinks of when we start down the pathway of reusing the avatars of actors previously recorded, or reusing characters created in previous screenplay by a different writer. The idea with smart contracts is that each contributor to a film production can have a real-world contract that specifies payments and residuals, with those payments and residuals enforced through a crypto-based smart contract system that is connected to a contribution and play tracking system. I know this is a whole lot in a very short sentence. A contribution and play tracking system is also connected to the real-world contract with a percentage of contribution value that is used each time a film or show is played, and hence tracked for residuals and payments. So we move on to virtual production and post and in production, which is done in the cloud. As we move to fully digital production and away from film stock, it becomes clear that virtual production, post-production can happen nearly simultaneously. It might just be called production in the future. LED panel walls driven by game engines, Epic's Unreal Engine, again, provide virtual backdrops and avatars with live actors in the middle being able to be shot on digital against those LED panel wall virtual sets. And those backdrops and avatars can be changed quickly using game industry standard tools, and realistic lighting match can happen then instead of later in a post-production process. If the digital shoot is placed in a cloud environment, then dailies can be reviewed, editing can happen immediately, color correction, grading can be performed, and visual effects added at a distance or locally by the distributed production team. And as digital production tools get developed and more familiarity by the production team happens, film production becomes lower cost and requires less time. These are some pictures from Amazon Studios' virtual production wall, their LED panel walls, and they look very cool. There's also a video that they put out. I'm going to play a little bit of it so you can get the idea what's going on here.
At Amazon Studios, we think big. And that's why we've invested in the newest technologies, expanding our creative possibilities and offering our filmmakers an experience like no other. Introducing Amazon Studios Virtual Production.
One of the goals at Amazon Studios is to make this a home for storytellers. We obsess over the filmmakers. We ourselves are the filmmakers, so we're trying to make a safe place for storytellers to be ambitious.
When we went through and actually started to plan out our wall, we really were concerned about making sure that our wall was all-purpose. So we went a little bit bigger than traditional walls that have been built in the past, just so we're able to encompass full world-building shows as well as smaller series.
It's a nice spot.
Yeah, you can't get a table on weekends.
There's such a wonderful realism that's created with virtual.
I'm going to skip ahead. I think I'll give you the link where you can find that video. It's quite cool. But what you see is you can put the actors, the live actors, on a table in a restaurant and shoot them, and behind them is the rest of the restaurant and windows to the outside world, and that is awesome. So those LED panel walls are very cool. There are some additional tools that can be near automated, such as multi-language animation, where the lips and faces of the characters shot in English can be re-animated to a new language. And using AI tools similar to those currently available from the company Pinscreen, which currently does this for Netflix on contract. And I found this piece of video from Pinscreen, so I'm going to play it because this is very cool.
Ich habe gelesen, dass Boxen wie Schachspielen ist.
Rudi, ab ins Bett.
I've read that boxing is like playing chess.
Rudi, auf to bed.
I've read that boxing is like playing chess.
Rudi, auf to bed.
So I think that's totally cool. This is AI that changes the lips, so the lips and the face move like the language that is being spoken. And I think that's amazing that you can do that. All right, let's move on to customer understanding and retention and streaming and delivery. Some of the additional things the chief scientist has to focus on are technologies for customer understanding and retention. And customer modeling for the film and television realm means that we have to collect interactions by customers with the streaming channels interface, such that we can make decisions as to what to present to those customers. Interesting AI things going on in this space are visible from many companies. When one company is Versus Game, that creates interactive games from prior customer interactions, such as interface clicks and web pages read, and putting them inside of a streaming interface for a streaming channel looks very interesting. By the way, full disclosure, I'm an advisor to Versus Game. In fact, I'm an advisor to 20 plus startups. And if you go to versusgame.com, you get to see the first platform to gamify the human experience. And Versus Game offers creators and brands the opportunity to cultivate a community with an interactive content solution that rewards knowledge. So it's a very cool company. ChatGPT gives us the opportunity to create AIs that can listen and interact with the desires and past experiences with customers. With such interactions, we could have a virtual movie friend running on an Alexa-like device that listens to our comments on films and then perhaps suggests the next thing to watch. Streaming and delivery. Modern streaming network architectures do rather well today, but the chief scientist needs to think 3 to 5 years out. With mobile networks beyond current 5G, some of the focus may be on the question, will the current way we stream our entertainment work well as much of the streamed entertainment moves across the mobile network infrastructure? Things perform differently in mobile, and this will be something that needs to be prepared for. And robust and secure networking is something all the streaming services do well, but but there are always new challenges. And if we look back to Sony's 23-day 2011 PlayStation Network outage, we all know what happens if there is even the smallest crack in our infrastructure security. And it's all going to get worse when we have quantum computing that breaks our password security models nearly instantly. And the real question is, what's the replacement? And it's not just passphrases. Passphrases are just longer passwords, all right? Did I get the chief scientist position? Well, it's still under discussion and probably not knowable until past this column's turn-in date. I've gone through 6 rounds of interviews, one asking, can you start next week? And another indicating, I hope to see you at wherever this place is soon. And we will see. It's been a great experience. And I thought we should think about chief scientist positions for all film studios. And this is one collection of technologies to look at today, and 3 years to 5 years from now, it's a different set of technologies, but it gives you the idea of what's coming and directions a chief scientist has to move into. Here are the references, and you can find these all on the paper online. Acknowledgements. I want to thank Gerard Medioni for his long friendship and inspiration to me towards applying to this position. And I'd like to thank Scott Easley for the many discussions over the years on generative AI and his close read on this column. And there's some additional people with whom I've had fruitful discussions, including Jarish Bajaz, Dan Scharf, Rafael Sultanovich, Alish Martinez, and Aaron Rothman, all who've been wonderful people to know and chat with. So here is my email address, here is my website, and we will stop sharing this document at the moment. And thank you for listening to my IEEE Computer Games column. And this has been the 14th column. I've been doing this for every other month for the last 28 months. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.